Hey guys, it's Maria.
And it's Mallory.
And welcome back to M Squared Cooking. So today we are going to be cooking some traditional Arab cuisine, and specifically the dish we are cooking is called Mujadara. So you might be asking, what is Mujadara? So for some cultural context for you, Mujadara is served for a lot of different occasions. Those include everyday meals, Lent or fasting periods because there's no meat in it, any gathering that has a lot of people, holiday dinners, and more. So as you can tell, this meal is meant to be very filling and very simple and easy to make. So, in Lebanese culture, Mujadara is often referred to as the poor man meal or a symbol of simplicity and comfort food. During the war, soldiers would do anything to get their hands on Mujadara because of how filling it was and how easy it is to make. In Arabic, Mujadara means pockmarked or pimpled, which describes the appearance of the lentils. So, now that we have some cultural context, I'm going to pass it over to Mallory so she can explain the ingredients needed for Mujadara.
Alright, so the ingredients we got whole lentils, small and green, and we also got some onions, and you're going to need rice, and you're also going to need the 7 spices, which we went to a
traditional Lebanese market called Cedar Fresh.
Because everything there is from Lebanon, and everything, it will say product from Lebanon. And you also need olive oil.
Yes. And then sometimes too, it will even have the Lebanon flag as well. Now, so the recipe we're going to be following to make the Mujadara, so actually, fun fact, on the back of the bag of the lentils, it actually has the recipe to make it. But instead of just following the recipe on here, we have the recipe that my mother follows to make. And actually this recipe she got from her grandmother, which was passed down to her, which is now passed down to me. But this is the recipe, so pause as needed to follow it. And then we'll also include a picture. But yeah, so we're gonna be making some Mujadara. Okay, so some cooking tools you're gonna need for Mujadara is number 1, a cutting board, number 2, some knives, 3, 2 pots, 4, a pan, 5, 2 plates, 6, measuring cups, 7, a strainer, and then 8, either a wood or plastic spoon. So now that we know what tools are going to be needed to cook Mujadara, let's start with the first step. So the first step says pour lentils on the plate and check them for any stones or discoloration. So let's start with that. All right, now that we have our bag open, we're gonna pour all the lentils onto our first plate. Okay, now that we have all the lentils poured onto the plate, we're gonna check for any discoloration and possibly stones. So what that means is, for example, a stone like this, yellow, that's not what you want. So just go through all of them, and then if you find anything yellow, put it on a plate next to it, and then you're gonna discard it later. So this is what I mean by stone. Always make sure you don't have any stones in the bag of lentils, because the last thing you want is to put this in the pot and cook it. So now for the second step, we're gonna go ahead and wash these 2 to 3 times and rinse them out before we pour them into our pot. Okay, so now that they're all rinsed out, we can go ahead and add them to our pot. So now that we have our water boiling and our lentils all washed and rinsed, we're gonna go ahead and do the second and third step, which first we're gonna pour the lentils into a pot, and then once we do that, we're gonna let it boil for 30 minutes on high. Once it starts to boil, we're gonna turn the heat down to medium, and it's gonna be done once the lentils become soft. Now, because the portion is 2 cups of lentils instead of 4, we are gonna let it cook for about 15 minutes. Once it cooks for 15 minutes, we're gonna come back to it. If we feel as if though it needs more time, we'll give it more time. If not, then it will be ready to go.
Now we are going to be peeling our onions because we're going to need to rinse them and chop them up. After peeling your onions, they should look like this, and you want to chop off the sides that are like the ends of them. And now we are just going to wash them before we chop them. For the first onion, you're going to chop them into cubes, so vertical and horizontal like cuts. And then for the second one, you're going to want them to just be like vertical cuts, like the short way, like you're kind of cutting onions for a burger for the second onion.
All right, so now we're gonna go ahead and place the onion cubes that we chopped up earlier into a pan with olive oil. Make sure you're using enough olive oil to cook them, or enough to cover them, and then cook on high. Once it starts to boil, just turn the heat down. Now we're gonna grab our olive oil to pour on top.
So the recipe originally calls for 4 cups lentils and 2 cups rice, but this time we are going to be making a smaller portion and using 1 cup rice and 2 cups lentils. So for this step, we are going to take our 1 cup of rice and we are going to rinse them and wash them 2 to 3 times like the lentils. After you rinse your rice about 2 to 3 times, you're gonna add a cup of hot water to the rice, and you're just gonna let it sit for about 30 minutes and make sure all the rice is submerged in the water. Now we are gonna drain the rice that we had sitting. Now, after you let the rice sit for a while in the hot water, we are going to cook the rice again for about 10 minutes. After you cook the rice again, you want to strain it so you get all the water out, and then once it's strained, we are going to just add all the ingredients together, the lentils and the caramelized onions. We're going to mix it all together.
Okay, so now we're gonna go ahead and drain the water from the lentils and put it in the pot with the rice. Now we're gonna go ahead, add our caramelized onions into the pot with the lentils and rice and let it cook for about 5 more minutes. And then after you add your onions in, you're gonna give it a nice mix.
Now we are going to chop the onions that are going to be for the topping. We're going to caramelize these as well, but these are the ones where they're chopped different. They're chopped only vertically. Now we're going to caramelize the onions for the topping. Now you add the oil.
Alright, so now that we have mixed everything together, the lentils, the onions, and the rice, we're going to go ahead and add some salt, as well as this 7 mixed spices that we got from Cedar Fresh. So for the salt, we're gonna do just like a palmful. Okay, now that we got the salt in, we're gonna go ahead and add 2 tablespoons of the spice. You can put as much as you please, but we're gonna start with 2. Now that you have your salt and your spice in, you're gonna go ahead, give it another mix, and let it cook for a little bit just to make sure that the spice and the salt cook into it. And we're back! So now that we finished cooking the Mujadara and plated it, this is what it looks like with the caramelized onions on top. We're gonna go ahead and give it a little taste test. So, scale from 1 to 10, what would you rate it?
I would give it an 8 out of 10. I think it's pretty good. I was surprised because the spice has like nutmeg and cinnamon. I was surprised by that, but it actually is really really good.
Do you have a favorite part? Would that be it, the spices?
Yeah, the spices.
Okay. Yeah. Personally too, I'd probably also give it 8 out of 10, 8.5 out of 10. I really like the spice mix that we used, and I think adding the onions in the dish and also on top just gives it more of like a rich flavor, and overall it tasted pretty good. Now that we gave it a rating and taste tested it, we're gonna go ahead and just tell you guys that how it relates to Girl by Jamaica Kincaid. So we have a couple quotes picked out, which we're gonna read to you and just explain how it ties into it.
So from Girl, she said, when buying cotton to make yourself a nice blouse, be sure that it doesn't have gum in it, because that way it won't hold up well after a wash. When picking out clothes, it is important for people to choose items that are good quality so that they last a long time. This is the same when it comes to picking out ingredients for a dish. Picking out good lentils, properly rinsing the rice, and picking out the right type of onions are all things that will help the mujadara taste better and allow the leftovers to last longer. This is also why we chose to get the ingredients from Cedar Fresh rather than from Kroger.
And then a second quote that we picked out from Girl was, "This is how to make ends meet." So as we mentioned before, mujadara is often referred to as a poor man's dish because of the simple and cheap ingredients in it, which are lentils, rice, and onions. While this is the case, it makes for a very filling meal that tends to be the most popular food served at any gathering. This quote shows how people should make the most of what they have and not be concerned with what others have been trying to acquire more that they do not need. And overall, we know that some may assume that Girl is just a series of rules or expectations that were passed down from her mother. So now she has to follow them and might pass them down to her future children. So when we think of the recipe that we use for the mujadara, that recipe was from my grandmother, which was passed down to my mother and now passed down to me.
And now Maria's passing it on to me.
And now I'm passing it on to her. But yeah, there we go. That's mujadara.
Now we have two special appearances, special guests to taste test our mujadara.
You can introduce yourself.
I'm Kendall.
I'm Brandon.
All right, now they're gonna taste it and give it a rating 1 through 10. Rating?
I'll give it like a 7 out of 10.
Rating?
I give it like an 8. It's pretty good.
What's your favorite part?
Yeah, was there a favorite part?
The taste.
Yeah, the beans.
Okay, guys, because we had Mallory's family and friends try it, now I'm gonna have both of my parents try it.
Okay, I'm Maria's dad, and I'm gonna try the mujadara she made with her friend.
What would you give it?
This is really good. I'll give you 9 out of 10.
Thank you. What would you give it?
It's yummy. Yummy. I mean, it's yummy. And I am very, very happy because I gave my recipe to my daughter because my mom gave it to me and my grandma gave it to my mom, and I am very happy to give the recipe to my daughter. It's Lebanese food, and it's very tasty.
Based off a scale of 1 to 10, what would you rate it?
I'd say 7 because I mean it needs like more olive oil.
Okay.
And I think that's
fair.
And more maybe
I hope,
onion.
Maria, one day you will cook this for your family.
Yeah.
Thank you. Thank you.
Of course.
I'll be happy to pass down the recipe to my kids.
You're welcome.
So now that I've had my parents try it, I'm gonna have my friends try it.
Hi, I'm Anthony Nassar, and I'm fully Lebanese.
I'm Bianca Bowerly, and I'm Lebanese.
My name is Morgan Shubeida, and I'm Palestinian.
My name is Kelly Keloff, and I'm 100% Syrian.
This is good.
If I ever had it, bro.
All right, now rating 1 out of 10.
Give it a solid 7 out of 10.
I'd give it an 8.
9.5.
We'll go 10.
Damn.